Hello and welcome to Sujith Talks. My name is Sujith Billa. I'm a registered migration agent living in Melbourne, which is not a regional Australia area, especially if you're talking about regional areas for migration purposes. Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane are metropolitan areas, very crowded, congestion problems. That is why today, 9th October 2018, Alan Tudge, the Minister for Cities, Urban Infrastructure and Population, for the first time spoke about 5 years visa condition exclusively. He did speak about regional Australian migration before, but this time it's a big press conference or a media address, if you like, on a national television. I've put the video link below. So I would request all the prospective migrants, and also Australian citizens to watch this and do videos like me to comment on what do you think about regional Australia migration and the 5 years potential visa condition to be imposed on the migrants coming to Australia. Now, Alan Tudge talked about three things. I can't go word to word, but three main things I've observed. He spoke about jobs. When asked by a journalist, what about jobs? What about jobs for migrants who wish to live in regional areas for 5 years? He said people are crying for jobs. If you're looking at a place like Warrnambool in New South Wales, he said there's a poster which says 1,000 people wanted for work. And he spoke about Dubbo in New South Wales. He spoke about goldfields in Western Australia. He spoke about South Australia migration. He spoke about Tasmanian migration. But the big joke is, if South Australia really wants migrants, why is it not giving 489 visas very easily for migrants, especially from IT background? And when this journalist asked him about jobs in regional Australia, why didn't the journalist talk about IT professionals exclusively? Because IT professionals do not have a clue about regional migration and they are very skeptical to live in regional areas because they think that there's no job there for them. So who will address this problem? Now, talking about politics, Alan Tudge, in a way, it appeared to me like an election campaign speech because the Victorian state government elections are on 24th November, which is just over a month from now. And he was talking about rails, high-speed rails from Melbourne to Geelong, Melbourne to Shepparton, Melbourne to Bendigo, Melbourne to Taralgan. I'm not good with pronunciation of few places, apologize. So he was talking about these speed rails. Why? Because there are elections. And it was also talking about the connection of regional Australia to metropolitan cities. So I don't have a clue why he was pointing out at that when he categorically said migrants are supposed to live in regional areas. So what's the point in getting it connected to metropolitan areas? Another question, follow-up to this, is some of the migrants might be asking silly questions. How would they track if I live in a CBD, work there, or I live in a regional area and then work in CBD? Don't ever think about that. Okay, there are discussions in place whether the councils would be given the power to monitor regional Australian migration and potentially would ask the regional migrant to report to them every week. So he spoke about politics in a way, indirectly. And what I see is this migration issue, the regional migration issue, would potentially come up in the Victorian state elections next month. Apart from jobs and politics, he did talk about visas. What he said was visas, excluding employer-nominated visas and family-sponsored visas, which include the partner visas, there's no real geographical requirement for the other visa types. What he meant by that is the student can study anywhere. And 189, 190, 489 visas and other visa types, part of general skill migration, could potentially, they might ask those migrants to live in regional areas. So apart from the family and employer sponsored visas, is pretty much put it out there that all other visa types could be affected by this regional migration. So you spoke about jobs, politics, and visas and potential condition, the 5-year condition. Now that's what Alan Tudd said. And after that press meet, I'm not sure if a migrant who called me watched that press conference or not. He might have read some media stories, and he called me to ask me a few questions, which were interesting. And I told him this could be potential video ideas for me. So one of the questions he asked me, what's the point in having 189 and 190 when there's going to be a visa condition on all the visa types, skilled ones? So I said, look, we do not know whether they could just dump 189 and 190 at this stage, because there's this visa reform anyway, which is talking about concising a lot of visa subclasses into just 10 or less than 10. Now, what could happen is 489 could become more popular. In the last video, I said I've got information that they might be giving more state nomination invitations, and potentially they could give more 489 than 190. So who knows? We can't really expect what will happen. And the other question I was asked is, what happens to the EOIs that are submitted currently? Will they get affected? Well, if you look back on July 1st update, about 65 points, well, the EOIs that were submitted before were affected. Another question from another person who got invited and is ready to lodge the visa. He asked me whether it would impact him. I said probably not, because he got invited and is going to lodge the visa, unless they will say that all the visa types granted from tomorrow will have that condition on. We cannot say that it will affect the current visa holders. We just have to wait for the legislative changes, because this is a press conference. And if you look back, last year there was a press conference when they said there will be citizenship changes, but eventually there were not, because that has to go through parliament. But this visa condition, you could potentially see a visa condition applied to visa types. And talking about visa conditions, go to Schedule 8. I've put a link below in this video. Go to that link, you see all the different visa conditions that are applied on different types of visas. So these are Schedule 8 conditions. Normally a visa condition starts with the digit 8. So they could potentially come up with a new condition and apply it to an existing visa type. And whoever gets the visa from a particular date will have that condition on it. Other than that, I've got a few other questions, like what happens to the 190 visa holders to citizenships. This question was a frequently asked question. I don't want to go there again. So if you get a 190 question, simply saying just live in the state that sponsored you, don't think about living in another state. And today in the press conference, they were also talking about PR holders going to citizenship, and if they don't follow the visa condition, they might be in trouble. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's useful. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Sujith Talks. And if you did but did not click on the bell icon, please click on the bell icon to get notified. And if you're after immigration advice, go to my website, sujithtalks.com, and schedule a phone consultation. We can also do a Skype or a video call. Go to sujithtalks.com. You can select your time zone and we can take it from there.